I've never heard a co-founder story quite as fabulous as this one. Like that.
Not even started yet.
Well, I'm Ed.
I'm Andy.
From AKT London. We're a deodorant brand created in the West End.
We basically set out to make one that worked.
In our very small kitchen in Camden, over the course of 3 years, every week we'd make a different formulation.
She'd kind of nailed a formula that genuinely worked, and they went crazy.
Nuts.
Thousands of tins to arrive
10,000
at our
tins.
house. A letter came through saying, cease and desist, you have our name. Spent weeks branding this thing that was
the whole
completely
year.
different to what you see now, and we just lost all creativity and went, I hate this. I hate every second, and I'm not doing what I want to do. Yeah.
But your VC round was a challenge.
Well, we were taken advantage of. I actually nearly ruined the business.
Very scary situation.
And then the money just didn't come.
The best thing that could have happened to us, we became businessmen. We learnt what we needed to do, who we needed around us, and went for it. Numbers just did this.
Welcome to episode 12 of CharleChats, the Ecommerce Podcast. My name's Nick. I'm the founder of Charle, a Shopify agency here in London. And I'm so excited to welcome you to our home for some very open, honest, and real conversations with some absolute A players in e-commerce right now. So, without further ado, let's do this. One of the best deodorants of all time, named by GQ US. One of the most awarded deodorants in the UK. And you've quadrupled your revenue in the last 12 months. Tell me your story.
Well, I'm Ed. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Ed.
I'm Andy. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Andy.
And we're from AKT London. We're a deodorant brand created in the West End.
Yeah.
So
We met performing in the West End in Beautiful, the Carole King musical.
Incredible.
Yes, so we were performers, and it was there that performing 8 shows a week in the same costumes every night, that nothing was working. Not ruining our clothes, stopping us smelling.
From a deodorant perspective,
From
right?
a deodorant perspective.
Not from your acting abilities.
No.
No,
Acting
obviously.
did not
Well,
stink.
sensational.
I was going to say, I was just checking.
Just the clothes and the pits, they smelt. So we basically set out to make one that worked. Not to make a business. This was purely to fix an issue. There was no business accrement or want at that time.
yeah, I was kind of transitioning out of performing because this was back in 2015 when we did Beautiful, the Carole King musical. And
both of you were in the same show.
Yeah.
yeah, we were singing opposite each other. We were the Righteous Brothers in that show. It's all about Carole
Nice.
King's life and yeah.
God, I've never heard a co-founder story quite as fabulous as this one. Like that.
Not even started yet.
This is a great moment. Maybe I should have just done a show and then I would have had a co-founder. I got a dog instead. But
I'd like
carry
a dog.
on. Sorry.
So yeah, it was obviously there. We were performing together. We were sweating a lot. I was throwing away T-shirts like every few weeks because you know that horrible sort of claggy yellow stain that you get from antiperspirants.
Yeah.
And we tried everything, just nothing was working. So yeah, we got to work in our very small kitchen in Camden because we were living together at the time as well. And it was like a bit of a meth lab, a bit Breaking Bad vibes.
Without the meth.
Love it.
Lots of powders, lots of like oils and waxes on the hob, just stirring concoctions together. And yeah, I mean, I don't have a chemistry background at all. This was just like, I started with a very basic recipe that I found online on some hippie mum's website. And then over the course of 3 years, every week, we'd make a different formulation, write down our findings, like, oh, this one gave me a massive rash, so what's the ingredient that's doing that? Or this one is like pure liquid and we need it to be firm, so maybe we need to add in a bit of wax. So it's just kind of a labour of love,
It was almost a hobby, wasn't it? Yeah, it wasn't trying to make the business, just a hobby. And then once you'd kind of nailed a formula that genuinely worked, we started giving it to friends, family and cast members, and they went crazy.
Nuts.
They went nuts. They were like, oh, can I just buy a pot of you for £10? I'm like, yeah, of course you can.
Yes, you can, because we're pot actors and we have no money.
So then it became, oh, maybe we sell 100 pots a month and sell it on Etsy or something, not understanding the legal requirements for a cosmetic on your skin and things like that.
And you've got the half of the West End using your product. You're like, shit, is this even tested? Like,
well, exactly.
Yeah.
Then we met up with some people that who is it? Sam Farmer. He's got a skincare range.
Okay.
Caroline Quentin's husband.
Nice.
He's got
Yeah.
wonderful.
Men behaving badly.
Yeah. My friend was in a play with her, so we bumped into Sam, and he got talking to Ed at the pub about this deodorant, and they just sort of hit it off, and almost like fireworks happened, and it was like, right, I'm going to make this happen. Cool. We need some money to get this regulated and tested and manufactured.
Because it's not like a cheap thing, right? To get a product. I mean, I have no idea. I've never made a product, but to actually get like a cosmetic product that's like your own formulation, it's not like you're not doing like a little rebrand jobby, are you? Where you're changing the packaging and reselling it's not a marketing play. This is like you have found something that works with unique ingredients, the right formulation yourselves in your kitchen, and now it's like, wow, now we need to actually make this a real safe business, right?
It was brand new.
Well, we didn't have any money to start a business, and we kind of sat down. We were like, okay, we think this is what we want to do. Especially me, because I'd kind of given up on performing. I fell out of love with it. So this was like the new passion. I was like, I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah.
And we met with a mentor, and she was like, well, you need some cash. And we were like, okay, how do we do that?
Yeah.
So we
Who makes money?
Yeah. Who do we know that's got money? Nobody.
Yeah.
So we decided to do a Kickstarter campaign, and this was back in 2018. So we branded it ourselves. It was very different to what it is now. But the best thing we did was we gave a sample to every single performer in a West End production at the time. So there was over 1,000 performers. We made these little tiny tins. We gave them these cute little leaflets, and we said, we're going to do a Kickstarter, like, please help us.
Because they're your target, right?
Well, I wouldn't say
At the time.
It was just the network we knew. So we were like, let's tap into those people. Let's get them to test it and see if it actually works.
Yeah, for sure.
Because they are the sweatiest people we know.
Yeah.
And so we handed it out to everybody, and it just went nuts on Instagram. It was kind of overwhelming to see, because not even like the performers were posting about it. It was their fans started posting about it. It was people at drama school who had no idea who we were, but they saw their idols posting about it. So they started posting about it, and we were like...
Yeah. The first bit of marketing we'd ever touched on, if you think back, it was we covered our living room wall in this calendar, didn't we? It was massive brown paper squares with 4 months worth of diaries on the wall. Didn't know what Google Calendar was back then. And it was literally like, okay, deliver pots to West End, send DM to every single person, send them the link to the Kickstarter page, ask them to post about it, and they did. Everyone did it on the regiment that we'd set. People that we'd given it to weeks before then started rummaging in their bags to find it, to be able to post about it, say, I'm involved as well, I've got it. And it just went... Okay, you could say it went viral for us, because we wanted to raise 15k on Kickstarter, and we ended up raising 50 within
Incredible.
a day.
So was this like after the formulation piece, you'd got like the product safe, or was this like the in-between phase?
The before phase, I suppose. We had the product that we'd made and branded, and we needed the cash to be able to then take it to a lab and a manufacturer. We actually thought we were going to make it ourselves still.
Okay.
And just kind of do the regulatory stuff. And then because of Kickstarter, we had like over 3,000 orders, and we were like, we can't make this in our kitchen anymore. So that led us to find a factory who then did the testing on it that you have to do, so stability testing, compact testing. And we took it there to create it. But we had a bit of a whoopsie before we actually launched and be able to get it out to everybody who'd ordered it. We had a trademark clash with the name that we had.
We'd raised all this money in order to get it manufactured, do all the legal stuff, get your trademarks, get it tested. And the day we were about to press...
No, we did buy it.
Oh, did we?
Yeah,
we ordered tins. We ordered thousands of tins to arrive at our house, just to arrive from wherever it was coming. And this letter came through. I was in rehearsals at the time as well, and this letter came through saying, cease and desist, you have our name. And we'd spent weeks branding this thing that was completely different to what you see now. And we just lost all creativity and went, what do we do?
It was a bit of a 50p, 5p moment, as we like to say.
Shit. I bet you're like, all this work that we have put into this moment is like just disappeared in front of us.
But hands down, the best thing that could have happened to us. Because then we had another year of rebranding. So everyone on Kickstarter was waiting for their product, knowing that their money was going into us creating it. So we used that money to rebrand, using an incredible agency to help us because we were creatively dead at that point.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And what we learned was with the original brand, we'd shied away from the theatre side of it completely. We thought no one's going to care about two twirlies doing a deodorant. Let's make it all. It was gold and black and sexy and not what the brand is now, which is vibrant and bold and leans on these theatrical terms. And the agency we used sort of went, why are you shying away from this? First of all, here's your new name. ACT came up on the screen, AKT, and we literally went, gay gasp. Literally, that's it, we've got it. And then they just went through all of this deck of how they came up with this lettering layout, and the typography was inspired by the vintage billboard signs outside theatres, and the phrase itself, born to perform, because we're born to perform, the product born to perform. The scents that we've created were inspired by scenes and written like you'd read them in a script. So it's not a product for performers or for theatre people, but if you know, you know. So it's really kind of cheeky, and people go, oh, is it AKT or ACT? And you go, well, we were actors, so...
Do you get it?
Got it? But
Well, actually, I was saying AKT, and Ben, who heads up our ops here, was like, is ACT? Get with it, Nick.
Get with
honestly,
it.
Yeah.
A good talking
It's a great talking point.
Yeah.
Chipotle. You know, people don't know what to say. It's a good one.
Byredo.
Yeah, Byredo.
It's okay. Like, Charle, you should hear some of the things we get from that. Our old logo used to be like a C and a H, but the C was like a swirly C, and we used to get everybody would just go, I'd be like, sorry? And they're like, why are you called I was like, oh, fuck. So I was like, right, I'm picking a really basic logo and they'll never get it wrong again. And now we get Charle. And I was like,
French.
amazing. So really what was a bit of a shitter actually potentially has really like made the brand into what it is today.
Best thing. We get so much traction on Pinterest, which we never tried. We've never done any spend on that. But because we are a visual aesthetic brand, we wanted to create a deodorant that people are proud of. You know, you spend hundreds of pounds on skincare and people display it in their perfumes, but your deodorant is shoved in your drawer, last second thought
Gross.
about. So we wanted to make a brand that was beautiful and didn't look like it belonged in a health store with the other natural deodorants that don't.
And your branding is beautiful, by the way. Like the colours are so bold and you don't miss it. You don't miss it.
We love it.
So you've got your 50k, you've gone through your rebranding process. What happened at this point? What was the point where you're like, right, now we've got our brand. That's just like the...
COVID!
Woo! Because I guess,
came along.
you know, even we work with lots of brands that don't have that proof of concept. I guess you've got a little bit of a head start because you've seen such positive reaction to the initial formulation. You've done 50k on Kickstarter, so you've hopefully, you know, now a moment of truth is people going to like it, and are they going to keep using it? They're probably the two things that are going to be really...
Are they going to buy it through the site was the next thing, launching the website and getting all of that together.
Yeah.
So we did a soft launch at the beginning of 2020, and that's when we delivered the Kickstarter products to people, but we also started selling to other people, and we saw like the traction was going well, but we weren't quite ready to launch properly, so it was kind of a gauge to whether
ad spend or anything. It was just sort of word
organic.
It was just there to be able to buy.
And that's allowed us to do a few tweaks to the formulation and all this sort of stuff. But then, COVID came along in March 2020, which was great.
So all the people that were performing were now not performing.
Well, that was
including me.
Andy.
I was on second day of rehearsals of West Side Story playing Tony in Manchester and had to jump on the train, come back down. You were Billy Piper's assistant at the time.
I was, yes.
Amazing. So we both lost our jobs as freelancers, and we sat down and went, right, let's pay our rent from this money we've raised and do this 9 to 5. And from that day, we have not left our laptops.
Yeah.
It's just been non-stop since then.
We officially launched May 2020, and that's when we, did a bit of ad spend. And it's just, I think actually the first week that we launched, Vogue, GQ, Squire, they all came in and named us like the *1 deodorant, and we were like,
Harper's Bazaar's Best Deodorant Award came in out of nowhere. We had a PR agency that was through an early we did a friends and family round of investment next, which we'll get onto, I'm sure. And one of our investors on that round had her own PR agency, so gave us a deal and sort of helped us get off the ground. Mm-hmm. But this Harper's Bazaar one came in out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. Wasn't through those guys, and that just kicked it off. Like this GQ one in the US, we're hoping is the trajectory of that.
So this is really one of those stories where, like, when you've got a good product, okay, we know you've got a good brand identity, and I've seen you guys are great storytellers, but actually fundamentally it's the fact that your product is really strong, right?
Yeah.
And we see lots of brands struggle because their branding's really strong and they get people through the door straight away, but actually that product, is it a long-term product that's going to stay in people's lives for a repeat purchase cycle?
Core values, because we could have released 5 other products by now. We could have just gone to someone white label and said, cool, stick act on that. We need a soap bar, let's just do that.
Yeah.
And we will never release something if it doesn't perform. There's no point. We didn't create this product to make a business. It's made a business because it's so bloody good.
Yeah.
So everything we now do going forward has to match that ethos. Otherwise, there's no point. We're going to throw money down the drain. We have been working on new products for 2.5 years, coming up to 3 years.
Still in the kitchen, or
No.
have we upgraded from the kitchen now?
We're able to
now.
work with proper. You'd think it would be quicker working with experts.
That's true.
But trying to get the innovation, trying to get that performance, trying to create something that's not just for the sake of it is really hard. But we're nearly there with some things. Like, we're plastic free, and we always want to be plastic free where possible, and that's hard. Has always been hard.
Yeah.
But we're so nearly there with these products. We're a couple hopefully coming out this year.
You guys are like, do you saw how quick we did it in the kitchen? You guys are loving on us, like taking me back there. E-commerce is hard, and sometimes you have to trust your gut. But if you want to be the next True Classic, your gut won't cut it. And that's where Triple Whale comes in. Triple Whale makes profitable growth simple and helps you understand who your customers are, where they've come from, what they've purchased, and how much they've cost. Triple Whale is an analytics and attribution tool trusted by more than 10,000 brands on Shopify. Still not sure that Triple Whale's for you? Get started for free today with Trends by Triple Whale. This brand new benchmarks tool lets you measure Google, Meta, and TikTok ad performance against friends and enemies alike. Say no to your gut and say yes to better data. Explore the free Trends app today at triplewhale.com/e-commerce trends. What a journey. What a journey in terms of like that initial piece. But, you know, it sounds like all these challenging moments have led to like the next thing. So like you guys being out of work is like, right, well, this is going to be our complete focus now, where I think a lot of people starting businesses, they hold off on that for quite some time, don't they? It's like, even in my background as a paramedic before I started the business, was I kind of had to take that leap, if you like, because you can't really be on an ambulance and do this.
Do a podcast in the back of the ambulance.
And do the podcast. It'll be very noisy, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of testament to our background in theatre, though, as well. Like, we're used to not having that certainty and stability. Like, you could be in a job, you think you've got a year's contract, and then, you know, a few weeks in, they're like, oh, yeah, we're going to close. Notice. You've got 2 weeks' notice. And then you're like, cool, great, what am I going to do now? I'm going to go teach, going to work for Deliveroo. I mean, we've had every job.
Yeah.
It's one of the springboards for the brand. I saw Ed struggling. What the hell do I do next with my life? He sat on this formulation. I went, let's do this. I was a photographer at the time as well, so we just put our skills together and made this. And now going forwards, we're always looking to hire people that are experienced performers because they understand and they are doers, and they might have problems, but they'll figure it out.
But actually, that's exactly right, I think, in terms of like people that have got a very diverse job background. I think it's really powerful. Even in our own team, we've seen very similar people coming from like hospitality or coming into the agency space, because, you know, I always say, like, you're always halfway there if you can talk to people, if you can build a really strong relationship and be positive when things feel challenging. If you can do those 3 things, the rest is then obviously a little bit of brains behind it and have a bit of focus. But actually, if you can do those 3 things, the rest of it is a damn sight easier. But if you can't talk to people, you're probably not going to be able to sell it. If you, you know, if you haven't got that positive mindset, you're probably going to get absolutely bogged down, because running a business is bloody hard, right?
So hard.
I thought being a paramedic was tough until I started Charle. I was like, fuck, this is proper tough. Yeah. So awesome. So just going back to your kind of your to present day then, in terms of that initial journey. So you guys are expanding internationally, I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about what's going on right now.
Loads.
So we're flying to New York on Saturday.
Nice.
We soft launched just before Christmas.
Uh-huh.
So we did the exact same thing we did with the West End with Broadway. So every single show was using ACT just before Christmas.
Nice.
And it went down a storm. We just started adverts at the beginning of January for like paid media over there, and we've just kicked off our PR agency, and we're flying out for 2 press events.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kicking off full time now. We're flying out for the week. We should probably go for longer.
US is like the next place you guys want to target after really feeling like you own the UK effectively.
Yeah, I mean, I still feel like we haven't scratched the surface in the UK, but the US was just an opportunity that we couldn't really resist. Like, because of our background in the theatre, like Broadway just seemed like the next place. So we have really kind of, we've launched in New York effectively, although we sell to the rest of the US, say that right. Although we sell to the rest of the US, we have focused all of our ads, paid media, press, all in New York, and we've gifted in New York, and we're targeting influencers in New York. But what we're seeing, which is amazing, is that that's organically, creating sales across the rest of the US. So we've now made officially a sale in every US state.
Incredible. And have you always sold internationally, even kind of like, so, you've got your store live, were you accepting orders overseas, or was it really focused purely on just shipping to the UK?
I mean, most of it's the UK. It's really difficult selling internationally because customers don't want to spend 15 quid on
shipping,
postage and shipping.
duties, and then another 50 quid on top.
And our product's £21, so it kind of just doesn't weigh up. And then obviously Brexit came in, and overnight our revenue fell by 25%, and we were just like, oh my god. So we're just really focused on the UK. You can buy it, but you're going to be paying a bit of a premium for shipping. But it's great now that we're in the US, and so we can offer it.
It just feel like even the tech has just been really slow to keep up. Like even with our merchants now, like sometimes the duties calculations are just completely wrong, so customers end up with a horrible surprise bill at their door. I think this year will be a big mover for that, especially within the Shopify space. But we are not there still. We see online a lot about business without borders and things like this. And I think the online tech's there, but I think the physical logistics has got a little way to come.
It's so manual still. It's all paperwork still for exporting. And interestingly, I just met with the Minister of Exports a few days ago at Harrods. La-di-da.
I hope you put the world to rights.
Well, it did. It was a round table with some other founders from SMEs. Okay. And I think the unanimous feedback there really was that it's all too manual. There's too much paperwork. And there's no sort of consistency across it as well. So different freight forwarders all want different paperwork and different stats and whatever.
It's hard for the small guys, isn't it?
It's impossible. It's really difficult to do. And then even in the US, every state is its own country effectively. Every state's got its own sales tax, which is different between exporting between states is even difficult to do. So I mean, it is a bit of a nightmare.
So are you guys now holding stock in the US, I'm guessing, so you can ship directly? You've got a warehouse. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Nice. And how was that process in terms of actually getting boots on the ground, making sure that actually you can fulfill them in the same way that you guys would fulfill a UK customer?
Well, it's smooth getting it set up for the one warehouse we have. We will need another because the country's gigantic.
California's really taken off in sales, more so than New York. So we're looking at opening a West Coast warehouse. But when we set up the UK warehouse, that was very difficult because we were trying to figure it out. So this time we were like, let's get a consultant.
Yes.
Let's pay somebody who knows what they're doing. And so it's actually been a pretty smooth process.
Nice.
The biggest difference at this stage is we're able to now hire in experts. For the first 2 years of the business, we were scrambling and leaning on people saying, do you know anyone that does this? Cool. They might know a bit of marketing. Do you want to come on board? And if they had the doability and grew with us, it was working. But now we can really lean on those experts because we've got such a good brand and great traction.
And that is really often the hard bit, isn't it, in terms of getting that knowledge and people that have been there and done that. and not going to make the same mistakes that you might if you just did it off the cuff. So it allows you to kind of move a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
So just kind of not doing this in a very logical order, but in terms of like that continued growth, have you guys done more fundraise rounds since that initial Kickstarter, or has it been on organic?
Oh, it never stops. Yeah, we have done officially, 4 fundraising.
So we touched on the friends and family round,
5.
didn't we?
Yeah.
That's probably the very first one we did.
Well, Kickstarter, obviously. Then we did, friends and family, which was equity. And then we did a VC round, which was awful.
We'll touch on it.
And then we've done 2 crowd funds since then. We've just closed one today.
Today,
oh
the
my
money
God,
came in
the money came in
today.
finally.
Congratulations,
Yeah.
firstly.
Yeah.
But your VC round was a challenge.
Yes,
It was.
I think for us, because our experience hasn't been in business, so this was our first experience with a VC, and so having to do the negotiations with lawyers and not really understanding the clauses and everything, and I think we were taken advantage of, definitely, and it actually nearly ruined the business.
Yeah.
So we set out to raise 1.2 million.
1.5.
Oh shit! Yeah, okay, 1.5.
Yeah.
And we did all the paperwork. We did the negotiations. It took 6 months. We signed all the contracts, and then the money just didn't come.
We did all of our due diligence. The person, we shall not name, has a great track record for other things. If you Googled them, you'd be like, great, I absolutely want them on my team. So we were balls deep in the deal. Paid us 20% of the amount, and then had 3 months legally to fulfill the rest. So the time was ticking along. Like, when's the money coming? I'll get it. When's the money coming? I'll get it. Cool. 3 months is up. When's the money coming? I need to renegotiate equity with you. No, you're in breach of contract now, so goodbye. We were spending like we had the 1.5 because they made us in their companies and their agencies to make us grow. So we were in a very, very scary situation. So then we lent on our community, which changed the game. So going back to what we did for Kickstarter, but this time for equity in the company with seeders, we did a crowdfunding campaign to make up the other 1.2 that we were missing, and we got it. 1.1 we got eventually, didn't we? Yeah. Did a crowdfunding campaign, which was so much work, but my God, did it pay off, because we now have 900 investors through seeders. We don't deal with them directly, but they are now ambassadors for the brand, if you like. And that came in
saved our asses.
Yeah, but that took 10 months from the mess up.
In January 21, we thought we were going to have to close down. We were like, we don't have enough money to pay staff. We were owing a lot of money to our manufacturers, to a lot of agencies that we were working with, and luckily, we spoke to them all, explained the situation. They were all very understanding, so we were able to create a payment plan over the course of about 12 months with some of them. Everybody was very shocked at what had happened, and even speaking to VCs now, they're all like, I've never heard of this. So, we're the example.
Yeah, the example. But I will say to anybody out there looking to fundraise, do more due diligence than you think is necessary, because this person has done it 3 times since. Yeah. And still goes on at it. So it's terrifying, but you can't know until you get into bed with someone, literally.
Yeah. But also, putting all the money worries in terms of you guys having to spend more money than was coming in because of the overpromised financing. Being in that kind of legal dispute as new business people, right, that maybe not these sort of businesses are not like corporate machines where they've got their legal team that just gets passed to and it's their project. It is such a mental strain to have to go through, as well as trying to, oh my God, right, how we actually come up with a plan. How are we going to pay everybody? How are we going to make sure we can keep the stock coming in so we can keep selling to make sure we've still got more money coming in there as well? But actually, the mental burden of then thinking, shit, we've got to dispute this now and keep our business above board as well. We nowhere near quite as scary as you, but we had a scenario where there was a bit of a fraudster client that overpromised payments and then got to the end, and as a very young business, we were they were saying that the quality wasn't there, and I was like, looks pretty good to me. And I was like, well, maybe we're new. Maybe we've just absolutely fucked this one. And then it got to the end and they just disappeared. And, the money was nowhere near 1 point whatever million. But I know that pain, and it is horrible, the sleepless nights, oh my goodness, everything that we've come to work for flashes before your eyes, doesn't it?
It's horrendous because we were spending, thinking we were in this growth phase and making so many plans that suddenly we couldn't do. And I think naively we'd almost gone, cool, these guys will help us. But it just didn't come. Even when we were working with them, you're like, we still need to run this machine.
Yeah.
We ended up learning even more. Just like back in the day when the cease and desist letter came in, it was the best thing that could have happened. This was the second best thing that could have happened to us because we became businessmen. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We learnt what we needed to do, who we needed around us, and went for it. And since the money came in from that first Seeders round in the October, we plugged it into the right things. We'd spoken to another investor who was going through our data and went, guys, if you do this, this, and this, you're going to see this, this, and this. And we went, God, we're nervous because we've never spent that much on paid media before. And then we did it, and the numbers just did this. And from October 21?
Last year, 23. Yeah, so it's been the last 12 months, which is why we've seen
22, it's 24 now. Yeah, the end of 22. October 22, we plugged the money in. So, from the last year.
So over the last year has been like a real turning point in your growth as a business.
And it's been like, for our mindset as well, just understanding how the business works, how the numbers work, what we need to plug money into and what we should be cautious of. It's been a shift in our sort of leadership as well and our skills as businessmen.
Knowing the data.
It's been great.
That's one of the things that we're still not great at, but we can understand when you have a data analysis to go, guys, this, and this, and we go, cool, that makes sense to us now because we see the numbers. But we never had that before. We never even thought about conversion rates and customer acquisition costs and things like that. And then simple equations that make you go, cool, if we plug that in there, you'll get this. And it's working. And we're not spending that much compared to most companies on paid media. Still a lot, but...
And what year are you guys in now? That'll be...
So 3.5.
Yeah. I think it's really... it's this 3-year mark I've seen just by chatting to other entrepreneurs and even in my own kind of business journey. Tom Kay, the founder of Finisterre, was on our podcast and he has been in business for 20 years, does an incredible job in growing their brand. But he talks about the entrepreneur's journey and how nobody really talks about it in our world in terms of like, you start off with really big ambitions. I can do this, I'm great. And then the world hits you and you end up in this big swamp of despair and it feels like you uncover emotions in yourself that you didn't even know you could feel, that low and terrifying. Yeah. But no one tells you about that part because then you have to keep going through and keep pushing with all grit and all might. And some people don't get through that bit. But actually then when you come up and resurface, that's when businesses start really growing and you actually start going, oh shit, we can actually make a really good profit this year. Yeah. And we're not going to make that mistake again. And then you make another mistake and then you keep on that journey, which I think is why we do it, right? And it's probably that addiction to that continue rocky road. I think if it's all smooth, we probably all have given up by now because it'll be a bit boring.
Yeah. Well, those dramas that you go through help you deal with everything going forwards because even the smallest bumps, you're suddenly hyper aware of if it's really bad. So you do everything in your power to make that fix, and you're kitted out with these tools to manage it just from experience. Mm-hmm. That doesn't come along from reading books.
100%. And over the last 3.5 years, has there been moments where either one of you goes, I don't think this is going to work out, or I think I'm done. I'm done here. Yeah. I'm going to check out.
It was after that bad fundraise, that whole year, because essentially it put a pause on our growth and our journey for 1 year. And I think both of us were like, is it worth it? Is it worth the stress? Because, we look haggard.
It's all right. I see pictures of me before Charle. I'm like, God, I look so young.
It's annoying.
It takes a lot.
There's clinics that can fix it all. Do not worry.
Yeah. It takes a big strain on your relationships, on on our relationship. It was really difficult that year.
have to also remember as well, I was still a performer, and I'd stopped that, or I'd paused it to make this happen. When COVID came along, I had a lot of stuff lined up. I was by no means where Ed was and had decided to finish. So for me to have stopped my career for something that was growing, to suddenly be pulling my hair out going, I hate this, I hate every second, and I'm not doing what I want to do. But now we've got through that, and every day is an absolute, I don't want to say joy because it's not, but you kind of thrive off the challenges. And we're sitting there going, we're doing something new again today. We're going to fucking New York on Saturday to launch a brand that we've made in the kitchen. That's amazing. Yeah. I'll go back to performing whenever, if I ever do, but we're using those skills and that community still.
It's not boring
but
anymore.
It's not boring, but there's been times when we've both gone, should we just stop, because we're probably either going to have a heart attack or murder someone.
Honestly, my friends, I found out last year that my very close friendship group were literally talking about having an intervention with me to stop Charle. They were like, Nick, it's killing you. You can't do this. But I think talking now, in hindsight, talking to loads of other business people, this is the journey of growing a business, because you have to go through that bit of like, oh shit, I don't know what I'm doing. I've never come across this before. Oh shit, we've got no cash. Fuck. Why didn't I think of this? Why did I not think that I might run out of cash in 2 months? And then you never do that again. And all these little lessons that you're making along that road, you know. But then I think then when you kind of come through that as an entrepreneur, it can be quite challenging to then switch off.
Yes.
Like, I don't know about you guys. For me, I'm like wired in the evenings, and like in the morning you're excited about what the next day is going to bring and so on. Of course there's still shit hitting the fan left, right and centre, and that never goes, but that level of energy, how do you guys like switch off and calm down from that punch?
Mental health's a really big thing for us. I think I'm adamant. We tell each other to turn off, go on holiday, take a day off. Like, we have to. But it's so hard when things come. Like last night, we got the US GQ article out. It came through at like 9 p.m. saying that we're one of the best deodorants of all time, and we're like, oh my god! And I'm suddenly there briefing people and do an advert with this and post it here and do that at 9 o'clock at night when I'm supposed to be watching the Traitors. Yeah, I wanted to stop.
It was great, by the way, if you didn't see it.
Oh, I watched
it too. I caught up. But being able to switch off is so important, and being able to have the balance of your life and your work, because if work becomes your life, it's not suitable. As much as everyone says, put everything into your business and do it, blah, blah, blah. If you don't have that outside thing, you are going to burn out in seconds. And we've been at burnout. Both of us have been so burnt out, where we look haggard, we're angry, we're snapping at each other, and nothing's progressing. So it's just a case of take a week off, turn your phone off, get Slack away from me, come back refreshed. And if it comes to 6, 7 o'clock and you need to stop your notifications, do it. Yeah. Nothing's going to stop. Nothing's going to burn down in the business if you turn off the evenings.
I think a lot of business owners forget that. I think we all think that hard work is like the graft. You see it on LinkedIn. Everybody's about hard work and putting in the graft, and you can't do it. And there comes a point in your business journey where you're like, this is fucking shit.
Yeah. And it's really addictive as well.
It's addictive.
Yeah. Those little notifications are like balls of dopamine flying at you 24/7. And you know what? I always have a little saying, even in like our account managers who get really obsessed with client emails and always making sure you're on top, is like, you're one email away from no sleep and a shit evening. Yeah. So don't do it to yourself. I'm Mr. Like, nope, I'm off at 5:30, turn it all off. Because, like you say, you just burn out. Right? Yeah. Your brain is not wired enough to be able to handle that level of stimuli all day. Okay. But I don't know about you guys. Like when I go on holiday, and the first few days are tough to switch off. Like I do actually delete my emails, and I'm like, I've given my team my WhatsApp. I'm like, if you have got a major problem, the office is on fire, drop me a text. Yeah. Otherwise, I don't know what's going on, and I trust you. Yeah. But when the first few days of hell, I always find it really itchy. I'm like, what's going on? Yeah. But then I do hit like day 4 where I'm like, I can actually get used to this life. Yeah.
And then you have to go home.
I'll have another pina colada, please. Yeah. But then when you come back, I don't know, I always feel this newfound level of positivity. I'm like, I can do everything. Yeah. I'm walking to work. I'm so happy.
You're refreshed.
There's a reason people go on holiday.
Yeah. But also having those team members that you can trust, and it allows you to go, oh my god, they can do it. I don't need to micromanage or be like, sorry, what's that advert saying? Can I see the copy? What's the email you're sending out? Yeah. I don't need to see all that because I trust you. I hired you for a reason. You've proved yourself. we're finally getting to that point where we're able to hand the tasks off, and it's relieving. But in the beginning, we were doing every aspect. We were making the emails ourselves and the social media posts.
The sad moments when they start doing it better than you, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, and you go, yeah,
For me,
well
I was
done.
like, great.
Yeah.
Good for you.
No, I'm really proud. I'm so
Yeah.
proud I don't have to do that. But like, I'm still good, aren't I? Like,
Our team are amazing. They've really, especially, they've been along the ride with us on all of these dramas and through the fundraisers, and they all step up to the plate, everybody. And that's the key to our team, is that everyone has to be a doer. If you're not, you stand out like a sore thumb. And even if it's not in your remit and you're willing to sort of go, here's a bit of my opinion or advice, we're going to hear it, because that's how we work as a
I always
culture.
think that startup people are very different from like other business people or people that work in big corps. And not that either are good or bad, but I think, the process-driven people sometimes are really, really, really well suited to the corporate world, whereas you don't know what you walk into tomorrow. It could be anything, but you're going to have to jump on it and try and make the best of it. That is a real personality type. I've really noticed it, even in our hiring. In terms of your, I want to dive into your team now and understand all the inner workings. We will talk a little bit about website too, I promise.
Yeah.
I just love hearing all the stories. So in terms of hiring, who are your first hires? What's your team like now in terms of like the types of skills that you've brought on board that you think are super important to have in-house? And tell me all about it.
I think our team are bants. They are so
Pure
good.
bants.
I thought you said balance, and I was like, no, he said band.
Santa.
Absolute banter.
They're up for it, is
They're
the thing.
so
They
much
get us,
fun.
because we're from a world where we get changed and get naked in front of each other and jump on stage and perform and have an absolute lol every day. It's stupid what you do in the theatre world.
Yeah.
So then to be someone being like HR, and you're like, oh God, we need to rein it in, but they jump on our wavelength. Obviously, we are not ridiculous, but they get it.
We've got two types of people. We've got people from the corporate world who we call
Corpies. I like that you said that second.
Gotta love a corpy.
Well, in the theatre world,
I'm not a corpy, but
no. In the theatre world, we call people that work normal sort of day jobs muggles.
like you guys now, muggles.
Muggles.
So have you become muggles now?
We're muggles now.
Muggles now.
This is my muggle job.
But it's hilarious. You say, "What's your muggle job?"
Yeah, because most actors have a muggle job. They'll be teaching or doing photography on the side.
So we've got a few muggles.
And then you have a full-time muggle job. So you
Full-time.
are a
Yeah.
muggle. You're not even a muggle job anymore. You're just a...
Acting's now my hobby, and this is my full time.
Yeah. So we've got a few muggles, and we've got quite a lot of people that have been in the theatre who have now transitioned to the non-magic side. And it's a really nice balance. I think the original mugglers, they love it. They love this sort of refreshing new way of working. Like, we're not... I wouldn't say we're corporate. Of course, we've got corporate procedures in because you have to, and you have to get sophisticated. But they like that they've got autonomy and the freedom, and we respect their knowledge. It's a very collaborative workspace. One of our brand values is that we're always in rehearsal, which is, a bit theatre related, but it's collaborative. Like, we don't ever want to be at the top of the chain in our business because we know we're not the best at everything. So we really rely on the people that we hire to speak up. So
Always learning.
Our marketing exec who's brand new, and he's actually from the acting world, and the first few meetings he was like, yeah, this is my opinion, you should do this, and we were like, oh my God, that's a great idea.
Bring
Why
it to
have
the
we
table.
never done this before?
So I think right now, if we explain the team that we've got right now, so there's us two. I'm sort of branding, marketing side. Ed's product, finance, and comes together on branding as well. Everything. And then I've got head of marketing, CRM manager, CRM exec, digital marketing manager, and a marketing exec. Yeah, so the marketing side's quite nicely padded out at the moment. It's really nice and ticking over.
Yeah.
Very recently, so 2 new hires were in November, so very recent. Then on your side, you've got an ops and supply manager, full-time, and the rest are consultants at the moment.
Yes, we've got 2 in-house content creators, designers, which has been a game changer for us. We've got a brand exec who kind of works on partnerships. He's very much in the theatre and film and TV world, so he helps to seed the product out to film, fashion. He's very bougie. It's hilarious.
He's in the sales, of course he has to be, right?
He's the one who, whenever he speaks up in a meeting, we're like, HR!
He was a very important part of this brand. I don't think many companies have that role because he is so hands hands-on in the industry, our industry still, that it was important for us to always seed to performers. So we are always gifting to theatres, TV sets, movie sets, makeup artists, stylists, and it's getting in the hands of some massive people just from that alone. But because of our story, they're like, oh my God, I've heard of these guys. I want to try it. Yeah. And you had Rosamund Pike from Saltburn message our PR team the other day to say, I need some courage to my hotel room immediately. So, it's
no
working.
Problem.
So our brand exec is for that very reason.
Nice.
Yeah. And then we've got a few more consultants. So we've got a fractional CTO who helps us with website and all things tech, which is terrifying.
Yeah.
Our chairman, who's fantastic, a guy called Daryl, who sold an e-commerce business, and he's just a numbers man. He gets it. We're not really numbers people. We try our hardest, but he's just like, numbers.
He can't be good at everything.
Thrives.
Exactly.
And
customer service is a big one for us.
Oh, yeah.
So we hire actors for customer service.
Nice.
That is the best thing we ever did. I used to do it at home, and it was just, oh, no, thank you. Then we gave it to the fulfillment house to do, and they were literally sending one-word answers. Then we hired...
Is it on the way? Yes.
Yeah, literally, it was
awful.
like, can I get a refund? No. Then we got
correct
actors
answer.
in. Literally, no, goodbye. But the actors now have this way of just saying, hey, you're talking to actors, they might come back to you in the next 48 hours, deal with your problem, and they've got this eloquent way of making people feel great, sorting out any issues, if there is any, or if it's just a happy note, it gets passed on, and they are dream team.
Amazing.
Actors are the best.
They are. We really do. Like when we interview people and we want to hire, if they've got a theatrical background, like we know that we're probably going to get along with them, but we understand the discipline of theatre people. Theatre people don't realise how magic they are and the skills that they have. You're always thinking ahead when you're in the theatre. If you're in rehearsal and you know you need that prop for that scene, which is in 2 scenes time, but you've got to do a quick change before then, and that piece of scenery is coming on from that wing. Like, you're always thinking ahead to make sure that you're not a burden to the director. You don't want to be that silly sausage in the rehearsal room that walks into a bit of scenery and be like, where do I walk off? You just do things and do it automatically. And that's why we love theatre people, because they're always thinking ahead. And if you don't know what they're doing, they go and fucking figure it out.
And I think that's so nice as well, because it's so embedded in the business's mission, isn't it? It's like, you've not gone ahead and just gone, well, we've got this cool product and now we're going to bring in all the other people that are already doing it to kind of, like, you've actually brought in those extra skills that give the brand something different, because you're trying to do something different, which is, like you said, you don't want to just stick a brand label on and white label other products. This feels like even the way that you're structuring your team is incredibly very much to the roots of the business itself, which I think's really powerful for you guys, and probably why you're achieving such success, because you're bringing in people that are really on board, right?
If you take all of those elements away, we don't have anything. If you take away the bits we do with brand that you can't track, you don't have a brand. There are things you cannot track, like events that you partner with and do this stuff where you're seen. You can't track it to sales, unfortunately, but we were doing a thing yesterday in the streets where for Valentine's week, we're doing a love campaign where we photographed all types of couples and single people, just anyone to do with love. And it was amazing. We're giving out product in the streets. People had heard of it, seen it. We don't get that yet. We don't understand that everyone knows what this is. And the brand is out there because of the stuff we're doing that you can't track. I think it's super important to always keep the brand alive.
I call it noise.
The noise.
And I actually was speaking to my colleague about this. It's like, you don't need to attribute everything, because sometimes, and how I have a bit of a thing about, I've spoken a lot about in this podcast about how attribution windows are a little bit, no one buys rarely do people buy in 7 days. They will have heard their mate tell you about it, and then you see it on Facebook, then you see it on Instagram. Then you see something on TikTok. Then you might see your friend using it again. It's like, now I'm going to buy. I think that noise of a business is so vital, but you can't track it, right? You can't put a UTM tag on somebody that's walking down the street and go, oh yes, look, they held it in your lovely funnel. You can't do it.
People hate that as well.
Yeah, they hate it.
They're always like, stop spending on brand. And we're like, no, that's where it's
if I stop spending on brand, the brand's not going to expand.
All of your ads are going to start going, because actually that's why the people are, I've seen this brand, I've heard it. It's like the noise that I can't put my finger on. So that leads quite nicely into acquisition of customers. So obviously, you guys are super in there with all the magical people, as you coin them. But obviously, you guys probably want to expand beyond that as well. And also, I'm sure there's lots of aspiring actors that may not be in those tight-knit communities yet. What is your acquisition kind of strategy like beyond the word of mouth, effectively? You've been investing hard in ads and so on. How's that journey been? Has it been a challenge?
Our main driver really is through digital marketing.
Okay.
So Google, Facebook, Meta. We've just started
YouTube.
on TikTok, and YouTube, and that's all performing really well. And we know that we've got KPIs to hit. We've got a budget of what we want to spend, acquiring a customer, because we're able to model out. Because what's great is we've got a subscription model. Best thing ever.
Best thing ever.
Because you're able to understand what revenue you're going to be getting month on month, and how long cohorts are going to be with you. So that we know that part of the business works really well. So if we scale that and we were able to keep our acquisition cost under a certain level, we know that it's able to sustainably grow really well. So that's where a lot of the focus is, on acquiring customers.
New customers is the hardest bit. So our paid media team are data nerds, and it's fantastic. Since we plugged in that money in October, they were the guys that took over for us. And paid media is our biggest spend to date across all those channels. TikTok's very recent and it's performing really well. So we're now moving all those assets across all channels, just testing, always providing new content. We've got a shoot tomorrow because we're very much faces of the brand and story. We're always creating new content. We know that works and that drives it. CRM's a huge one for us. So signups, partnerships, again, for the branding side, linking with other audiences that are similar to us. We will always do. Sharing email databases.
I actually thought it was really interesting that you guys are really investing into CRM now. I don't actually think we see that often, which is super, super exciting. It makes so much sense, right?
Yeah.
Acquisition is really tough. You've got a subscription-driven product. So let's bloody invest to make sure we're keeping our subscribers on board. We're talking to customers long term, and we're reducing that churn.
We know we did a big survey last year to all of our customers, and to find out what really makes them, what their purchasing intent is. And what we found was that it is our story. Luckily, it's me and Andy, and it's our brand story.
They just love us,
and
That's why we're here.
It far exceeded anything else. We have a lot of lovely, what do we call them?
Videos.
No.
We have a lot of lovely
testimonials,
reviews.
Reason, we're natural, sustainable. What do we call that?
USPs.
Thank you. We have a lot of lovely USPs, like natural, sustainable. We're plastic free, and what far exceeded everything was our brand story. The fact that we've come from the theatre world, that we had a problem,
Which we didn't know as well. We didn't know until we'd done the survey. We thought, they're going to buy because of us, but I'm sure all these other things are above us.
and it was like seeing the bar chart. Like we were miles ahead of any other USP. And so CRM obviously really lends itself well to that, doing email marketing, because we're able to update them on things that we're doing, how the business is going. Of course, we've got the usual flows in there, and we've got an amazing CRM manager with us now who manages all of that. But I think that's why it's working really well. And in the very early days when it was just me and Andy doing emails, that was the thing that actually drove the revenue.
It still made money, didn't it? Early on. That's
way
why.
more than any of our paid media did. So that's why we've always invested in it.
We always see the highest conversion rates of email marketing over all other channels. I don't know if that's what it's like for you guys, which makes a lot of sense. The hard part is the scale piece, right? Yeah, you might get everyone converting at 7%, but there's only 100 people in there. So but that's the hard part with email marketing. But actually, it makes so much sense in terms of investing into that piece of the puzzle, because we see lots of businesses that really work so hard on acquisition, and actually it just ends up being a leaky bucket effectively, because you are then at the mercy of these massive tech platforms, as we have seen with the privacy changes over the recent years.
Oh my God.
Suddenly your cost per acquisition goes up and your margin's gone. Then what do we do? But actually, we've had guests on this podcast, and I don't know if this is the same for you guys, that won't turn a profit until like order 2 or 3, which is really interesting. Actually, you know, they need to make sure that their first order customer loves it. I mean, and that's probably not dissimilar from people like Gusto and HelloFresh that are giving away their first boxes for next to nothing, right?
That's why they're so heavily discounted, to keep them to that third, fourth order.
I actually went to cancel my next box next week, and it was like, here's 50% off. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm one click away from 50% off. Are you joking?
Yeah.
Like, I was offended. I anyway, I was like, I'm going to do this every week now.
Yeah, literally.
Nice. So just going back to that acquisition piece then. So digital marketing's been a real heavy piece of getting seen by the world effectively.
Yeah.
Has that been a challenge? Have you had challenges before where you've like, I can't get a customer profitably onto our site?
Yes.
Profitably, we've never really looked into that until last year. Like numbers wise, we weren't looking at that kind of thing. We were more, is that advert even working? Because I was making them myself on Photoshop and editing videos together on my phone and being like, there's an advert, good luck. And
my God, we got an order.
Yeah, literally, we've only just managed to kind of pull out those adverts that I'd made, and actually with our branding from the designers. So I'm happy with the assets that are out there, but not knowing what was working, we weren't really looking at profits in that side of things, which was bad until recently.
But you don't know what you don't know, do you? Until like you look at
Exactly.
You know, even in some of the things that we do in our business, I'm like, why did I not track this before? It seems nuts that you just sort of putting into the wind and see what happens. But that's how you learn, right?
Our agency are amazing at kind of saying, this advert, it's costing you £68 per person, so like turn it off. Move to another one. That one didn't work. Test it against something else. If that one came in at 37, what's the difference? And then we do kind of balance it out, and it's up to me to tweak what's coming in content-wise.
I think one of the turning points with the ads as well was we were very protective of the brand. We were like, we're a premium brand. We've got to give off this premium feel. And actually that doesn't really work with Meta. And so
all these 3D renders of product moving. I've seen so many case studies of these, like, it looks great, but no one buys from it.
It's going to cost you thousands of pounds to get made.
Yeah.
For us, it's a balance now. We tested some UGC content.
Nice.
And it performed really well for us. And we were like, okay, we've got to do this, but we have got to marry it with the brand vision. And
we've been very aware of trying to remain premium for as long as we can, because we are not a cheap deodorant. We're not, but we are accessible to everybody. But like I said at the beginning, we want to feel aesthetic. We want you to feel like you've got a bougie deodorant. So to keep the brand looking premium across all channels was really important. So when this UGC came in, I was like, this woman is saying the most amazing things. Sent it to the team, they put it as an advert, and it's still running over a year later and performing. We now have an ambassadors program, so people sign up, receive products, review them. If they love it, I don't want to see anything if you don't like it. I'm not paying influencers, we don't do that. If you love the product, let us know, create some content. If it works for adverts, we'll be using it, blah, blah, blah. And I guess you could call that the more high street side of advertising, because it's not as premium. But now, as Ed says, we've married this premium vibe with these influencers they get the brand. And as soon as someone says, this is amazing, it has changed my life, someone's going to buy it. So ambassadors and influencers are a big thing, but we don't pay influencers. We might do one day, if Ariana Grande comes in, it's like, I love it. Hey, Ariana. But I don't.
We'll be taking over the Just Eat campaigns now.
Oh God. But I think as soon as someone releases some content of something that they are honest and love it, it's gold. So we'll pay them as a thank you.
We see so many UGC galleries in some of our merchants, and it's so obvious when you can just see a tile wall of influencers. Like, you just see it from a mile off, don't you? Compared to like real people, real stories, real background, the messy bedroom in the background, and so on. And, it's so obvious, and it makes so much sense because I always think people buy from people at the end of the day. That is like the fundamentals of selling, right? And it's no different online. And I think that's what brands often trip up on, is that you forget. You just see these little numbers in dashboards, 2,000 people. You're like, oh, only 2,000. But actually, if you put something in front of 2,000 people and looked at their faces, you'd think about digital marketing and content creation so differently. So I just want to kind of touch on like on-site. So in terms of the way that you guys have maybe worked to deliver that on-site experience, how it's been.
We made our website ourselves.
We made it, and it worked for about 3 years.
They're the best website.
But we always hated it. it was never the brand that we've created. It never quite matched up to what the product is because it was a Shopify template.
Yeah.
It was just plug in your pictures, here's your menu, there's your PDP page. Now we've tried to tweak and customize bits and make it a bit
Tinker.
jazzier. Yeah, but
Too many tinkers.
and you lose your conversion rates, and we're having to really go on this CRO journey that we've never done. This is very recent for us, so we're really
This is the
testing.
next challenge
Yeah,
for
nice,
us, is the
nice.
CRO. Like for us, obviously, we made it. We're not happy with how it's looking with the brand aesthetic. The brand's grown over the course of our, since we launched, and we want it to reflect that because that is the place where the customer is buying. And so it's hard again to marry brand with CRO. Conversion rate optimization for anybody that doesn't know what that is. And so, we brought in an agency to help with CRO, but they were incredibly corporate. And so their decisions were purely based on conversion and just lost sight of the brand. And so now we're trying to merge the two together. There's got to be a bit of give and take.
I think it's going to end up being like the adverts where we've got that perfect marry of UGC everyday website and then the brand sprinkled on top. We have a tile wall of influencers, but they are our ambassadors that are genuinely saying how much they love it. So we know they work on social, but how do you put it on the website without looking at it going, great, there's some more people you've paid to say, yes, I like your product.
I think as a young brand as well, it's hard to do test scenarios. Like you want to be A/B testing everything, apparently. But when we're that scrappy and we're young and we've got to just change something on the website, we want to just be able to do it and not do a test environment. And we're still pretty young to be doing tests. The traffic to our website is probably not sufficient to do accurate testing. So that's the journey we're on at the moment. How do we fix that and improve it?
Keep the conversion rate high, but still make it look on brand. That is
the hard bit, right? Because even some of the tests we've run for people like the RNLI and big charities like that, the smallest of changes can have such a big impact. Things like button colours, just changing a CTA can impact your conversion rate so much. And then it's like finding that balance of like over testing, because otherwise you never get anything done. If you're going to build to everything or try everything, you're just not going to move, and you'll end up so bogged down with all these tests. The test over here says, oh well, with this PDP extra section added below here, the engagement rate was up, but if we add it to the homepage it goes down, and you end up really conflicted. So I think it is a real challenge, right, in terms of finding that balance of brand meet selling versus and maintaining the authenticity that allowed you to get to where you are now, which I think is really interesting. And in terms of like your current tech stack, is that have you found any big challenges there in terms of scaling with Shopify you guys are on?
Shopify obviously is fantastic. If anybody's starting a business in the FMCG space, is that right?
Very good.
Fast moving consumer goods.
Glossary at the end.
We're going to edit all of these.
Shopify is leaps and bounds above any other platform, I think. And then we're a subscription company, so we've been using Recharge. Oh my God, bane of my life. When I hit my head against the wall, just really inflexible, having to use developers. And when you're a young business, having to get in developers is expensive to be able to change stuff. So we've had, a few moments with Recharge. And I think one of the biggest challenges for us was setting up a sort of inventory management system. So our flow goes from Shopify into something called Sin7 over to our 3PL, and Sin7 is for inventory management, and setting all of that up has just been a nightmare.
The logistics behind it. We just did a show reel and actually just like showing the actual supply chain behind the businesses that people see. They go on like Instagram and they see these beautiful products and they just expect it to magically appear at the door. But the good news is you've gone through all of this shit now, so it should be damn so easier when you're splitting out locations, managing stock in different places for the US, right?
Yeah. Getting there.
Aware. I think it's like having, like I said earlier, those dips in the road. You've been through it, so you know what to look out for. It still might not be easy because those things still aren't there to help you fully. So you have to do the tweaks and the workarounds yourself. Things like customizing is a real ball ache We don't have a web developer in-house. We do have a recent one on hand, but still can't really do what you want to do. And like the back end of Recharge, everything's got to be customer centric. You want the shortest journey possible, but the most effective. But you still want to tell your story and your brand. And the more you want to try and squeeze in there, the slower that journey is, and customizing it, you just don't know. You don't know until you get a room full of 50 people and say, "Run my website. I want to tell me everything."
Yeah.
That's something we did actually, and we'll continue to do that. Every 6 months or so, we do those big sort of take our survey and you can get whatever. And that's been super helpful to inform us what needs to change on the website. Why are people purchasing? What do they want to see next from the brand? That's been really insightful to make the changes on the website.
I think it is a journey when you're just working with different types of professionals. Like when you start working with developers for the first time,
they are not theatre people.
They are not theatre people. I mean, try hiring a whole team of them. No, our developers are amazing, but you have to learn skills that you didn't expect, like just having patience with bugs. It's not if bugs are going to happen. Oh, they're going to happen. I can promise you that much. Yeah. But the first time you work with a developer, you might go, they're terrible because there's bugs, and it's just like, well, ask Apple when they build something new, there's going to be bugs. So having those acceptance to these sort of nuances or the limitations of the tech stack that you're around. You mentioned Recharge, and it's quite, the limitations that sit within that platform, how that then works with Shopify, and then probably I'm sure you see challenges about how these orders then appear in your inventory management tool. Do they update all stock levels and so on? But it's actually just trying to stay as patient as possible and having trust in these professionals, which can be really daunting, I think, from a brand perspective if you haven't got that experience before.
Yeah.
So just to kind of round things off, I would love to kind of have your guys' top tips for any new e-commerce entrepreneurs that are just getting started and they've got to go through those shit spells that we've spoken a little bit about today. Yeah. What would your advice be to those guys who might be watching?
Number one, recognise that you don't know what you don't know. And if you don't know it, go and figure it out or ask somebody that does. I think ego can get in the way for young business owners, that they want to present that they've got this fantastic idea and it's going to do really, really well. And the reality is you're going to have a lot of challenges. Lean on people to find that stuff out. That'll be my number one. Andrew?
I'd say prioritise. You will never not have a list of 40 things to do that all have a timeline to them. They'll all feel urgent to you, but prioritise the top ones that are going to make you money or do what you need to continue your business. They're all going to have to be done, but prioritising was one of the things we learnt early on because we were just drowning, and overwhelm is a given. You're going to be overwhelmed at all times, but you can just lift your head above the overwhelm if you're just going, today I only need to focus on these because I can do that tomorrow because there's a month on that, etc. I think prioritising.
And I would also say be organised from the get-go because you will have so many forms to have to save down, so many different documents that you're working on. If you've got a fantastic system of being able to store those effectively and find them very easily, it's just going to help. You don't want everything just in My Drive on Google Drive.
Don't rely on Gmail search. Like that is like the worst thing.
No. Don't rely on labels in Gmail either, thinking that's your filing system. Like you need a good filing system.
So one of the best things you've brought to this company is making sure we've got systems and structures in place that I don't think you ever knew you would be doing.
No idea.
But it just makes sense for your brain because we've been speaking to many brands that we partner with and things, and they're kind of shocked by the systems we have in place as a small brand. But it's so important to get them. Get your management system, get your emails set up, get your Google Drive or whatever you're using to store everything in place. We're working through a new setup of a system at the moment, which is going to hopefully be game-changing for your task lists and project managing without pestering people on Slack because that fucking click noise that goes off non-stop.
Mine's off.
Yeah, I'm surprised yours is still on.
I have to because I think I have ADHD and I just get pulled off in seconds. And second someone tells me and I see it pop up, I'm like, fuck, I need to do that. Great, yeah. And then it's
That's
like
why you
reminded.
should turn it off.
No, because I've forgotten about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's why you need my new system for task management.
We're very different.
My new system called turning your notifications off.
Close your laptop.
What a conversation.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys, for joining us on CharleChats, the e-commerce podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure to learn about your story. I could honestly keep listening for hours to come, but I'm sure you guys have plenty of things to be doing. I really do wish you all the best with your US expansion and your continual growth. I know you are going to kill it. And we'll be watching super closely to watch your continued success. So thank you and all the best.
Thank you very much.
From London's West End to their own kitchens, creating products that are now scaling around the world and quadrupling revenue. What a story and what a brand. Thank you so much for joining us on CharleChats, the e-commerce podcast. Please follow us on socials, head over to our website, and we'll be back again real soon.